What's up, y'all? Anderson here, just to give y'all one more video before the year closes out, specifically kind of wrapping up the 2024 Olympic season. And I'm going to be giving you my top 10 competitions of the year, specifically in the sprints, jumps, and hurdles. And this is just my personal opinion. Go in the comments, give me your favorite, competition of the year, give me your favorite race, give me your top 5, top 10, whatever it is. I'm going to give you mine. Also going to give you some honorable mentions. We're going to close out the year with some highlights. Of course, a lot of them are going to be coming from the Paris Olympic Games because there were a lot of high quality races there. But let's kick things off with my number 10, where I have the women's 400 meter hurdles at the Olympic Games in Paris. Listen, yes, a world record was set. Cindy McLaughlin-levrone, 50.37 seconds. Of course, almost breaking the 50-second barrier. I think that's what she really wanted to do. But the depth behind her was really good. You did have Anna Cockrell, also from the United States, 51.87 seconds. She finished in second place. And this actually made it the second time in history that two women had broken the 52-second barrier in the same competition. Remember, Tokyo 2021 at the Olympics, Sydney ran 51.4 and then Dalilah Muhammad ran 51.6. It's never happened before, mainly because we haven't seen Sydney versus Femke, but Femke Bol was in third place here, running 52.15 seconds. So didn't get under the 52-second barrier, but the depth at the top with that world record, along with Anna Cockrell running that 51. Also, behind Femke, we saw the best ever marks for place in 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th place. So this really actually was an insanely deep race, even if we didn't see, two women running 50 or 3 women running 51. But very deep race. My number 10, women's Olympic 400 meter hurdles. Moving up to number 9, I don't know if y'all remember this, but the women's 400 meter dash at the NCAA Championships outdoors. This was a legendary race. We saw 4 women from the same school, from the University of Arkansas, go 1, 2, 3, 4 to sweep the entire 400 meter race in that NCAA final. All of them ran sub 50 seconds in that same race. I don't know if that's ever happened before at the NCAA. Someone could fact check me in the comments, but not only that, but this is the 7th fastest race in terms of depth, right? In terms of, the most women going sub 50 seconds in the same race. And I'm talking all time. And again, someone could fact check me, but I double check these kind of stats. Insanely fast race for an NCAA final. On top of that, Nikisha Price from Jamaica, she ran 48.89 seconds, breaking the NCAA record, which was set just a year before. And of course, that was a national record, which she did improve a little bit later at the London Diamond League. You also had Kaylin Brown, who just off by 1 day, she missed being a U20 athlete, but she equaled the previous record set by Britton Wilson. So insane depth across the board for the University of Arkansas. NCAA Women's 400 is my number 9 race of 2024. All right, let's move away from some of these championship races and actually take a look at the Zurich Diamond League, the men's 200 meter dash. That's going to be coming in at my number 8. And this turned out to be one of the deepest 200 meter races that we've ever seen in history, literally history. In this race, we saw 5 men go sub 20 seconds in the event. Not only that, we saw 5 men go sub 19.90 seconds, which has never happened before, never in the history of the men's 200. Prior to that, I think the fastest 5th place performance was a 19.90 seconds, which I think was Robert Gregory, which he ran, might have been either NCAA's or USA's, but we saw that 5 men go sub 19.9 in this Zurich Diamond League race. This gave you the best marks for place in history for 4th place as well as 5th place. We saw Letsile Teboho, he ran 19.55 seconds, his 3rd fastest time of his career. Kenny Benarek, 19.57 seconds, which was a personal best for him in that race. Ariane Knighton, 19.79, which is his 9th fastest time of his career. Fred Curley, 19.81, his 4th fastest time of his entire career. And Alex Ogando, 19.87, the 2nd fastest time that he had ever run in his career. Listen, this was an insane race when talking about the depth in this 200 meters. So that's why I have it at my number 8, the Zurich Diamond League men's 200 meters. But let's get back to those Olympic Games, actually Olympic trials. My number 7, men's Olympic trials 110 meter hurdles. Deepest race in history, deepest race. And you're going to hear a lot of that from a couple other races that I have up front as well. We saw 3 men go under the 13-second barrier. Again, that has never happened before. The previous best was only 2 men under the barrier. On top of that, we saw the best marks for place for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 9th place in this race. That's crazy. Literally the best marks for place across the board here. Grant Holloway, 12.86 seconds, the 4th fastest time in the history of the event. We already know he's run 12.81. We already know that he's looking to break that world record of 12.80. It's coming for Grant one day. He's already the GOAT of the 110-meter hurdles. We're going to talk about that another day. This just added to his legacy, not even talking about the Olympic gold medal that he got. But behind him, Freddie Crittenden, 12.93 seconds, personal best, first time under the 13-second barrier. Behind him, Daniel Roberts, 12.96 seconds, personal best, first time under the 13-second barrier. Shout out to Daniel Roberts. Check out the conversation I had with him very recently on the Sidious Mag podcast. This was the deepest 110-meter hurdle race that we have ever seen in history. Shout out to the men's Olympic trials, 110-meter hurdles, my number 7. Going up to number 6, sticking in the hurdles, sticking at the Olympic trials, we saw the women's 100-meter hurdles again. The deepest 100-meter hurdle race that we've ever seen in history. Like I said, we're going to see a lot of these. And these are just my personal opinion. But women's 100-meter hurdles at the Olympic trials. 6 women in this race ran sub 12.40 seconds. Again, this has never happened before. Never happened before. The previous best was 4 women under 12.40, which was at the Monaco Diamond League back in 2023. Yes, not even the 2022 World Championships in Eugene, not even that was as deep as this Olympic trials race. We saw Masai Russell. She got the win in 12.25 seconds, moved her to number 5 all-time in the event. I think that same day down in Jamaica, Akira Nugent actually ran 12.25. So they kind of like were equaling each other within minutes or whatever it was of each other, which was crazy. Alicia Johnson and Grace Stark, they moved up to number 12 all time with their performances. And then we also saw the best marks for place in any race through history for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th places. Again, a consistent trend. Best marks for place, deepest race in history. My number 6, women's 100-meter hurdles at the U.S. Olympic trials. Now, before I get to my number 5, let me give a couple honorable mentions that definitely deserve some strong shout outs. Jamaican trials, that men's 100-meter dash final with Kashane Thompson and Oblique Seville. The Olympic women's 100-meter final in Paris, not as deep behind, but Julian Alfred with her immaculate gold medal and personal best to win that race. The Olympic trials for the women in the 100-meter dash, we saw Sha'Carri Richardson, Melissa Jefferson, TT Terry, all of them running extremely fast to make it onto the team. The London Diamond League 200, where we saw Julian Alfred, we saw Gabby Thomas, we saw Dean Asher Smith. Very, very deep race. We saw Daryl Nita in there. Really competitive race. Monaco men's 400-meter hurdles. That Diamond League race saw the big 3 of Rai Benjamin, Karsten Warholm, Alison Dos Santos meeting for the first time outside of a global championships in a long, I think in the first time ever, right? So that was a really, really high profile race that really kind of hyped things up as we look forward to the Olympic Games at that point. The men's triple jump at the Paris Olympic Games, one of the deepest competitions with some of the best marks for place in the history of the men's triple jump. Also, the long jump at the Olympic Games for the women, Tara Davis-Woodhull, Malaika Mihambo, as well as Jasmine Moore, just really holding down the podium there. Women's triple jump at the World Indoor Championships. Very, very high quality competition with Thea Lafon from Dominica getting that gold medal, jumping over 15 meters. We also saw Lianis Perez Hernandez from Cuba getting that silver, and Ana Pelletiero Campore, I apologize for the pronunciation, from Spain. She was able to kind of come back from pregnancy and get on the podium in the triple jump there. And then finally, the men's long jump at the Rome European Championships. That turned out to be a very high quality competition that produced some strong marks. Of course, Tentaglu getting the gold medal there. But just some of my highlights, some honorable mentions. Let's get into this top 5 though. Number 5, speaking of the European Championships, the men's triple jump at the European Championships. This was arguably the greatest triple jump competition ever. Of course, y'all know that I love the triple jump. Go check out the video that I did immediately after that competition, breaking down, how historical it was. I, really went in depth with the history of the triple jump and how guys have been jumping 18 meters back and forth in certain competitions. But Jordan Diaz Fortune, representing Spain, 18.18 meters, moved him up to number 3 all time in the triple jump, only behind Jonathan Edwards, only behind Christian Taylor, not too far off that, world record that, might go down one day, 18.29 meters. In second place, we saw Pedro Pichardo. He jumped 18.04 meters, just the second time in history that any man has ever jumped 18 meters and actually lost a competition. Prior to that was at the Doha Diamond League in 2015, where Pichardo, he actually jumped 18 meters, while Christian Taylor, he jumped 18 meters and finished second place. So crazy competition. And on top of these 18-meter jumps, we also had 2 of the top 6 ancillary jumps in history. So this was really talking about some depth in the men's triple jump that, listen, amazing performances. Definitely have to give my triple jump a shout out, and I think it deserves this number 5 spot. Let's get up to those number 4. And I'll probably tell you here, every other competition here is going to be from the Olympic Games. But number 4, This is kind of hard for me, but in the number 4 spot, I have the women's Olympic 400 meter final. Listen, like I've been saying with the other ones, the deepest race in history. Check out the video that I did kind of breaking down why Paulino's 2024 was the greatest season since the 1980s. I kind of went a little more in depth about the history of the women's 400, how this era of the 400 for the women is probably the greatest era that we've seen, again, since the 1980s and all that. But in this Olympic final, we saw 3 women under the 49-second barrier. Never happened before. Literally has never happened before. All 8 women in this race were under 50 seconds. Never happened before. Like I've been saying throughout this entire video. That's why these races are extremely special. Marlita Paulino, 48.17 seconds, moved her to number 4 all time in the 400. Sawayi Nasser, 48.53 seconds. That's her second fastest time of her career. Natalia Kazmarek, 48.98 seconds. That's the 3rd time in 2024 that Natalia Kazmarek was able to get under the 49-second barrier. And on top of all the women running sub 50 in the race, we saw the best marks for place for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th places. Like at this point, it's so hard to take these races for granted because of the depth and the quality of, performances that these women have been able to put down here. This is a crazy era for the women's 400, but I have it at my number 4, women's Olympic 400 meter final. At my number 3, men's 400 meter final at the Olympic Games in Paris. Check out the full video that I did. Again, immediate reaction from Paris on the men's 400. But in this 400 meter race, 5 men went under the 44-second barrier, which is the first time that has ever happened in history. Even before that, prior to this race, we've only seen 3 men ever go under the 44-second barrier in the same race. Not even 4, only 3 men. 2015 at the World Championships in Beijing, we saw Wade Van Niekerk, we saw LaShawn Merritt, we saw Karani James, all under 44 seconds. 1 year later, 2016 Olympic Games, Wade Van Niekerk, he breaks the world record, Karani James in 2nd, and then LaShawn Merritt in 3rd. Those are the only 2 races where we've seen 3 men under the 44-second barrier. Here we just saw 5 men do it. Quincy Hall, 43.40 seconds, moved him to number 4 all time. That legendary finish, that legendary last 100 meters, that will go down in history as one of the greatest finishes in 400 meter history, right? Matthew Hudson-Smith, 43.44 seconds, number 5 all time, just behind Quincy, getting just edged out, but he had an immaculate season. So huge shout outs to Matthew Hudson-Smith. Muzala Samakonga, representing Zambia, 43.74 seconds, moved him to number 14 all time. Jareem Richards, breaking the 44-second barrier, runs 43.78 seconds, number 16 all time. The fact that he ran 43 seconds but did not get a medal is heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. Crazy. Then we saw Karani James, literally one of the most experienced, one of the most, seasoned veterans in the sport right now, 43.87 seconds at his 4th Olympic Games, right? 2012, 2016, 2021, and now 2024. Runs 43.87 seconds. Again, doesn't get a medal. Karani James is a legend, but all of that to say, we also saw some best marks for place in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th places. Like I said, we've never seen 5 men go under 44 seconds in the same race. They all did it here in Paris. Shout out to my number 3 men's Olympic 400 meter final. Number 2, this might be my favorite race, but I have the Paris Olympics men's 4x4 final. Check out the video that I did while I was in Paris, breaking down that race as well, that immediate reaction. I don't even know to this day, what I actually saw and witnessed in that stadium. Definitely, again, my favorite race of the 2024 season, but United States versus Botswana, Rai Benjamin versus Letsile Teboho on that anchor, USA getting the gold medal in 2 minutes 54.43 seconds, Botswana barely just behind in 2 minutes 54.53 seconds. Both of them moved to number 2 and number 3 all time respectively in the history of the 4x4, only a couple tenths of a second off that world record of 254.29 seconds set all the way back in 1993 at the World Championships, where we saw Michael Johnson, Butch Reynolds, Quincy Watts, and Andrew Vollman, right? They broke that world record, which has been standing for so long, 31 years at this point. But behind all these guys, behind the United States, behind Botswana, Great Britain, Belgium, South Africa, Japan, they ran the fastest 3rd place, 4th place, 5th place, and 6th place performances in the history of the men's 4x4, in the history of any race. This race was extremely deep, but the most important thing, in my opinion, maybe my favorite thing, is the splits that we saw across the board. Letsili Teboho, 43.04 seconds. That's the second fastest split in the history of the 4x4, only behind Michael Johnson's legendary, 42-second split, 42.9 split from, Stuttgart 1993. We also saw Matthew Hudson Smith, 43.09 seconds. Rai Benjamin, 43.18. Vernon Norwood, 43.26. Dobson, 43.33. Kevin Natshipi from Botswana, 43.39. Apologize for the pronunciation. Samukonga, actually in the prelims, Muzala Samukonga, he ran 43.19 seconds. The splits that we saw, the amount of 43-second splits, and these are just some of the fastest ones, not even like all the 43-second splits. Man, this was a race for the ages. This arguably is my favorite. Again, might be number one, but shout out to my number two, men's Olympic 4x4 final. I'm pretty sure you can guess number one. This was the race of the year, the deepest race that we've ever seen in the history of the men's 100-meter dash. That final in Paris, oof. Yes, in my opinion, it beat out 2012. It beats out 2012 specifically because of the depth that we saw from first place all the way down to 8th place. Even though 8th place, my man Oblique Seville got injured. But let's break it down. Noah Lyles, 9.79 seconds for the gold medal. 5 thousandths of a second ahead of Kashane Thompson, who also ran 9.79 seconds in his first global championships. Both of them showed up and showed out. Even though Kashane got that silver, listen, Kashane, I've been saying it all year, he probably has the highest ceiling right now of any athlete in the 100-meter dash, and he is going to be going a lot of places. But Noah showed up, Noah showed out. You can check out all the videos that I did. I probably did like 5 or 6 videos throughout the year of the men's 100-meter dash. Third place, we saw Fred Curley just get that bronze medal, literally by a hair over Akani Simbine. 9.81 seconds for Fred, 9.82 seconds for Akani Simbine. Simbine ran a national record for South Africa, personal best, and he barely misses out on the podium. Shout out to Simbine getting that, that 4x1 medal. It's literally his first medal at the Olympic Games. Huge shout out to him. But even behind all of them, right, we saw Marcel Jacobs in 5th. We saw Letsili Teboho, in 6th. 7th place, we saw Kenny Bednarek, 9.88 seconds. 9.88 seconds. So that means we saw 7 guys run sub 9.90 seconds in a single race. All 8 guys were under 10 seconds because Oblique Seville, he ran 9.91 seconds, got 8th place, and he was injured, literally pulled up. If he didn't pull up, clearly he would have run sub 9.90 seconds. So that just speaks to the depth of this race. Yes, 2012 at the top with Usain Bolt, 9.63, with Johan Blake, 9.75, with Justin Gatlin, 9.79. Yes, those top 3 are, of course, the fastest when we're talking about the absolute podium. But when we're talking about depth across the board, this was by far the deepest 100-meter race that we have ever seen in the history of the sport. And that's why I have to put it at my number 1. But these, of course, are just all my opinions. Go in the comments. Let me know what was your top 10, your top 5, or just give me your top competition from the year. Yes, sprints, jumps, hurdles, all that across the board. Let me know what you think. Always appreciate y'all. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Be back in next time. Thanks for watching, y'all.